My mom's Cuban, so I come from a culture where the women serve the men. Like, the men don't even get up from the tables when they're served food. And so I just kind of took on those responsibilities. And my husband and I realized like how damaging that actually was. And it wasn't intentional. It was just a behavior.
Welcome to Mommispace. My name is Brianna Bernhard, your hostess, and I am a new mom. I selfishly created this podcast to get some advice and inspiration from the moms in my community who are doing amazing things while raising their families. I've realized motherhood is hard, but knowing I'm not alone in this call makes all the difference, and I hope you feel refreshed as you listen. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome to Mommispace. I am so excited today to have on the show Natalya Roa. Welcome, Natalya.
Hi, thanks for having me, Bri.
Yeah. Well, the reason I'm so excited is because Natalya was at one point in my life a really huge influence on my own life in regards to worship leading and spiritual growth and all of that. So I have looked up to you for so long, and I'm so grateful for all that you've done and poured out on me and on so many others. And but I'm extremely excited to talk to you today about motherhood. So yeah, but
it's so crazy to think back to like the season we were in 5 years ago.
You know, it's
now.
Yeah. Well, you know what's so funny is like I remember. Like, there are certain times in my life where, especially back then, I think it was like 18, 19, 20, whatever. Yeah. And I remember thinking, like, I knew how old you were then and thinking, like, oh my gosh, she's so old and mature and oh my God. And then, like, once I turned that age, I was like, holy crap, like, she was amazing. Like, I'm still so mature. Like, what, like, there's certain people in my life that I, like, remember the age they were. And once I turned that age, I'm like, dang, like that's a big deal. So
funny.
It is crazy. I also, side note, sorry, I just thought about you when I got married because I married someone 5 years older than me, and I just remember.
Yes.
Yeah. How much older is Ronnie?
8 years.
Okay, cool. You win, all right? Whatever. But I still think it's crazy. Like, I just like that, little things like that. So, anyways.
That's funny. Yeah. Hey, older's the way to go. Hey, they're going to have, like, the best looking wives at all the parties.
That's right. Anyways. Well, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, about your family, where you're located, and then we can kind of dive in.
Yeah, so we live in Huntington Beach currently. And we love it, love being close to the beach, and we don't surf or anything, so it's really ironic, but we just like going playing and enjoying and sunsets and all of that. And so we're a family of 3 right now with 1 on the way, and my son is 4 years old, and he's just the best little human being in the whole world, and just love him to pieces. And the biggest thing we're working on with him is wiping his own butt. Other than that, he's just incredible, and I just love his little heart. So, but that's us. We're just enjoying life right now and being here, and this weather right now is giving me feels. I love it.
Yummy. Oh, it's probably cold, eh? Like,
yes, it's like overcast, and it's just so awesome. So awesome.
That's the best. Cool. Well, I'd like to start out just asking if you could share, like, what your passions in life are, and how you're kind of going after those, and like in what ways being a mom kind of fuels those things for you.
Right. Yeah, that's been a really difficult journey. For me personally, like when my husband and I first got married, I morphed into a lot of his hobbies because I didn't really have any of my own. And so I took on like cycling and these like craft brewery tours that we would go on and birding. And just because I didn't really know how to find that in myself. And it wasn't till my husband and I were separated for some time,
Mm.
about 3 years ago, that my therapist had asked me, like, what are your hobbies? He was like, I can sit here and list out things about your husband, but I can
Mm.
tell you, like, I don't know what you're passionate about. And I remember Googling, like, on Oprah's website, how
Wow.
to find a hobby, how to find a
That's
passion, because
amazing.
I felt so stumped, and I felt like, motherhood had kind of engulfed me, and like being a wife had kind of become all that I knew.
Wow.
And my mom's Cuban, so I come from a culture where the women serve the men
Yeah.
hand in, like the men don't even get up from the tables when they're
Oh
served
my
food. And
gosh.
so I just kind of took on those responsibilities, and my husband and I realized like how damaging that actually was. And it
Mm.
wasn't intentional, it was just
Right.
a behavior. And so yeah, so it's been a fight. It's been like a fight to find things. Like I tried painting and I suck at it, but I've tried. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, because hobbies are so hard. And even when you ask people, like it's rare to find someone with a passion or a
Yeah.
hobby.
Yeah.
And I think it's just trying something. So like, I'm really passionate about music. And so
Uh-huh.
like I've made a goal to try to attend at least 3 concerts a year, whether they're
Awesome.
like big name people or just small, like little acoustic sessions somewhere, just to show up and just kind of
Wow.
to get like my tank fueled by that. Cause it's so
Yeah.
inspiring.
Oh
Music is
yeah.
so beautiful. And so, yeah, so that's one that I've tried doing. And then I felt before I got knocked up, I was working out a ton, got really involved at a gym. That was like a brand new a husband and wife opened it here in Huntington, and fell in love with that. And that was like such a big
Oh.
passion of mine, was like fitness and clean eating.
Yeah.
And it might not be everyone's thing, but for me
Right.
in that season, like it really fueled me. Like I became so invested in that. And Ronnie and I really want try to live a healthy
Yeah.
lifestyle, and so that was so important to me. But yeah, I feel like every stage is different, and
Mhm.
it's just trying to find something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I actually really appreciate that viewpoint because I think like that's probably the case for a lot of people, like a lot of
Yeah.
moms, and we
Yeah.
just don't really talk about it. Maybe because it feels embarrassing or whatever, which is so
Oh,
silly because
100%.
it's like
Yeah.
that's so. I mean, yeah, I can totally see how I could get so encompassed by this little human who I love so
Right.
insanely much, you know.
Right.
So, yeah, I really appreciate that perspective.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So, as far as like your stage in life right now, obviously it's a little bit different because you're about to pop. But what would you say like kind of fuels your everyday? Like, so the just ins and outs, things that you and Ronnie are working towards. Like, I know we talked a little bit about before, like uh, church plant stuff. Like, maybe
Mhm.
go and share about that. Like, I'd love to hear kind of more about that.
Yeah. So, like day to day, what fuels us? I think um, for Ronnie and I, like we want to create a space for our son in the future where he can find a place to belong. And we kind of have realized like this culture we live in is just so plastic.
Mm,
And so as we're planning to church plant next year with some friends of ours, like we really want to create a culture and a place that he's going to thrive in and feel like his failures don't define him. Like
yeah.
he can show up even as a pastor's kid and be known despite whatever he might be going through. So I think that's kind of like fueling our fight for the day. Like, when days that we have meetings or whatever we have going on,
Yeah.
just that's our goal. Our end goal is to create a place for our boys to be known, to be loved,
Yeah.
and where church might look a little different than it does right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
So,
Um, so I just kind of I like had a question kind of pop up like in
yeah.
regards to before what we were talking about is like finding a hobby or finding something to get excited about or passionate about like um so I'm having a brain fart, dang it.
Story of my life right now. I'm 8 months
Oh
pregnant.
my god, I bet.
That's all I do.
Oh, okay. So like how do you once you've found something that you're excited about and like that gets you kind of riled up or whatever,
Yeah.
how do you as a mom like continue to press into those things despite like having to juggle 100 other things because that's legit, right? Like there's just
Totally.
always something to do. There's always a list. So like how does
Yeah.
that like what do you do practically?
I had to start asking Ronnie for help, and I always felt
Mm,
embarrassed to do that because, like you just see, like in my mind, women, like, in today have a clean house, have like
yeah.
incredible style. They have a coffee shop that sells like American made leather goods and
Yeah.
like farm table dinners, and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, how in the world? And so I felt like I was constantly trying to keep up with that mentality without asking
Mm,
my spouse, my teammate for any help.
mm,
And so I realized like he has all these hobbies and it's because I'm able to stay here and help those things. And so
mm,
like we realized and it wasn't anything on him. It was
mm-hmm,
just me never reaching out and saying, hey, can I have an hour to go to the gym? Can
mm,
I do this? Can you do the laundry today?
mm-hmm.
And we really realized like there was some unbalance in our marriage that was more my unhealth because I felt too insecure to say, I can't do this. Like I'm drowning. And
Yeah.
so practically, like I just, like we'll look at we have like a big calendar in our kitchen. And so like he's a big cyclist. And
Mm-hmm.
so he rides 3 days a week, but he'll get up at like 5 a.m. So he's home around 8ish.
Wow.
And that like he sacrifices sleep. That way he can go and cycle and be home to
Right.
help. And I will tell him I need this done today or whatever. And so it's really like teamwork and me like not feeling guilty that I can't have
Yeah.
it all together because that's the truth. Like we can't. We do need help. Our
Yes.
spouse is like our helpmate, our life partner.
Right.
And and so that like practically has helped so much, knowing like my schedule or his or when I need time and he needs time and it's literally on the calendar and he knows like
Mm-hmm.
okay I need this done and I give him like a checklist and he'll do grocery
That's
shopping
so
whatever
good.
I need. So there's a lot more balance as opposed to me feeling like I have to carry the weight of
That's
it all.
that is
So, but
so
that's only
good.
within the last like 2 years that we've kind of found our groove
Sure,
because
sure.
before that it was not good.
Well, that's encouraging because there have been many fights lately trying to figure out the balance of stuff. But just
Right.
knowing that, like, it's a daily, like, process, right? Like, oh
Totally.
my gosh. Yeah.
And it changes. Like he's
Yeah.
out of town right now. And like so our schedule our world just looks so different right now. And then with
Right.
holidays, like things just get shifted. And so it's just Ronnie and I have a policy. It's our therapist had to start working on it. And we have like a no eggshells policy, like where we actually have
Nice.
to say what we think, which is such a novel idea. It's like,
Right.
yeah,
I know.
duh. But a lot of times we just don't say what we're feeling or like,
Yeah.
I'm struggling that you get to cycle so much and I feel like I'm
Yep.
just a hermit at home watching our kid or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, everything lovingly, but once we
Right.
started like having that policy, we realized like how much truth we needed to speak instead of
Mm,
like hide from one another.
right.
So
Right.
that's really helpful.
You know, that's so funny. I like have found myself if I do get to a place of feeling exhausted or whatever and I've like or I whether I am realizing it or not and checking with my own heart, like
Yeah.
I'll realize like I'll start picking on the small things that like
Yep.
my husband is doing or whatever. I'll be like, you just don't do this enough or da 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 and like really it's either like, oh, I just miss you and I want to spend time with you. Like it's like my
Exactly.
heart's saying something, but I'm just not like sitting and getting to the root of it before I like attack him. So,
Yep.
so like learning to do that and we did something recently that like maybe won't last but it's been kind of interesting like in the heat of the moment like oftentimes like we'll try not to like go to a crazy place so like one of us will like we've both done this where we'll like write in our notes on our phone like what we're really feeling in the moment and then we'll
Yep.
come back later and be like can I just read it to you like just take it with a grain of salt like this was in the heat of the moment so like
Yeah.
letting all of that emotion kind of come out
Totally.
yeah,
So smart.
I mean, I totally agree. Like it definitely like there's so much freedom in that and then yeah, I love that verbiage as far as like there's no eggshells, no walking on eggshells.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. Okay, so have you experienced mom guilt? And if so, how do you overcome it?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things to feel mom guilt about,
I know.
but I think the biggest thing that I feel mom guilt about is my phone.
Ah,
Uh, because like my son, if it's charging and it goes off, he'll like bring it to me and say, Mom, you got a text. Like he knows.
Wow.
And so Ronnie and I are like fighting to make sure he knows he's more important than our phones.
Mm,
Because it's true, like we're on them, and it wasn't a big as deal like, say a couple years ago, but
right.
now I'm so aware. Like he's even said what was kind of a red flag to us is about a year ago. He said, Mom, would you just look at my eyes? And
Oh my
I
gosh.
just dead. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like here I am responding to my child, not even looking up at him. And I don't even know what I was doing. If I was texting on Instagram, emails, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But that like just resonated with me and Ronnie
Oh.
so much. And so, yeah, we just try to keep our phone, like when Ronnie gets home, we'll put our phones down, and unless it's like a grandparent or someone calling, like we just ignore everything until he goes to bed. And we always tell him, like, if we're on our phones and we're with you, Dallas, and just say, Mom, can I please have your attention?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I said, just tell us, be honest. And I said, like, you have to have grace with us. We're working on this. And
Wow.
it's like, it's such a different culture from when our parents were
Right,
parents.
right.
They didn't deal with that. And so, yeah, it's just been, that's the biggest thing I feel like I have mom guilt about, because it's so easy to get caught up in emails or even texting somebody, and it's because that's the new form
Yeah.
of communication.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's been like so challenging, and I know it's going to continue to get worse.
Yeah.
And Ronnie and I are just trying to fight against that because we feel it, we sense it, and we just we want to reject that in our home.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that is so hard. Like I have like already seen like Bobby, she's like 4 months, right? And like
Right.
we'll have the TV on and she's like totally like interested in it, and like
Yeah.
sometimes like she'll just be glued to it and I'm like, ah, maybe that's not
Yeah.
great. Like, even if it is like Baby Einstein, like I
Right.
don't know. It is such a different culture, and I actually love hearing from different moms like how they deal with it and how they kind of navigate it, because there is part of me that's so like wants to resist it. And then the other part of me that's like, well, I was raised with not watching a lot of television, but then when
Yeah.
I'd go to my friend's house, like I would be glued to the television, like,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I wouldn't pay attention to anyone. Like they couldn't get my
Right.
attention, which was like obviously embarrassing for my parents, but
Yeah,
you know,
totally. Because him to feel like we have it together. Like, we grew up in a culture where you feel like everyone has it together.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, we don't know what we're doing, son, so
yeah.
help us. you know.
That's so good.
So,
Wow. So, I like to talk about legacy, and I'm just interested to hear kind of like what you think about as far as like leaving a legacy for your kids, and what you want them to hold on to.
yeah, I think just through Ronnie and I's journey and our marriage and our life, like we found ourselves in hiding a lot of times and not really safe to be who we were or what we really felt. And
Hmm.
so for our boys, we want to create a culture uh, where they feel like they can have their own thoughts. And, we
Mm,
decided a long time ago we were just always going to share with, our sons what we believe and our philosophies and our thoughts and all that, and kind of
yeah.
let them discover on their own, because we never want to push that on them, and we want them to
Mm,
kind of find their own way. And I think part of creating like strong boys is letting them have a thought and
mm,
encouraging them to lean into that and to be real and to be who they are. So yeah,
wow.
and I think that might change, with the more years.
Sure.
But for right now, like we just want them, to be honest and to be um, good, good men.
Wow.
So
That's so good.
yeah,
Well, at this rate, we're gonna have the girls line up to get in on one of your boys, because
yeah.
one or both of them, I'm sure, is so freaking cute.
I think
Uh,
that's, I can't argue with that.
good. Okay, so kind of talked about this already too.
Mhm.
But how do you manage your time and take care of your own heart in the day to day?
Yeah, and I mean that looks so differently. And I mean, I'm sure as being a new mom, like
Yeah.
I went from like every day being in my word and journaling
Yes. Oh my
to like I would have my utmost for its highest in the bathroom. And so every time I had to go number two, like I would just
God.
read
Oh.
what I could and get it in, because it's just
Wow.
your day changes.
Yeah.
And that's just the honest truth. And so I think now, like how I have been able to take care of my heart is seeing a therapist
Yeah.
regularly and making that a priority because yeah, yeah.
It's
And
so
also
good.
finding a space that I'm unknown. So being like in ministry,
Hmm.
and being involved in like so many different churches, you just get to know a lot of different people. And so, you can't show up somewhere and just kind of be.
Yeah.
And so for me, like, and Ronnie, just to go somewhere to not be known and just sit, like, I don't feel like
Mm,
I don't sing along, nothing. Like, I just
wow.
want to attend. I want to hear worship. I want to hear from God.
Mm,
And I don't want to have to like pretend I'm there to see anybody or anything like that. So
yeah.
finding a space where I can just show up, and that really, really like fills me up. I feel encouraged by that. And
Wow.
yeah, because I think in ministry, like if you're working at a church like I am now, when you show up,
Hmm.
like you're on. Like this
Right,
is
right.
job essentially. And so I feel like to fight against Jesus becoming a job, you have to find space
Yes.
to just show up and like love the church, and not it's might not always be the church that you're at, but finding ways to
Yeah.
like show up. And
Wow.
so yeah, and
That
then
is
managing
so
my
good.
time is just woof, that's the
That's actually a great idea to have like a devotional in the bathroom.
oh my
It's like,
gosh, totally, because that's sometimes you're only, especially now I don't have even that time alone in the bathroom because it's
yeah.
like, Mom, do you think that Batman could really beat, so I'm like, oh my gosh, just let me take a poo. Like I can't
Oh
handle
my,
it right now. So yeah.
that's so funny. I just love the whole idea of making space for yourself, like within the church too,
Right.
because that's so important, especially if you're in full time ministry or just part time. Like
Oh,
that's,
right.
I need to do more of that.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah. It's been really helpful.
Oh, so good. Okay, well, I like to end with some fun questions. So the first would be if there's a favorite product for yourself or for your kids, or well, a kid right now, that you can't live without.
Yeah, okay. This was really hard as I was thinking about. I like could not think of one thing that I've used consistently.
uh,
But over the last like 2 years, I have given Dallas like Epsom salt baths.
oh,
And
yeah.
he loves it, and it's so calming, and it's kind of become like like he will always ask for his Epsom salt, and it
Oh,
just helps his skin to be so soft, and it smells good. And
yeah.
I have found such a difference, like because we have like our nighttime routine is always the same, so we always get to
Uh-huh.
bath and we do books and then bed. And like I've just noticed like when he's had it, it's like calming and
Mm,
soothing. And
mm.
so that's one thing I always get, like it's a eucalyptus or a lavender,
Oh,
and that's
yes.
just been really, really helpful for
Nice.
us. So
That's great. I haven't
yeah,
heard that one yet. Very
yeah.
cool.
But I could not think of anything else. I was like, I legit have no idea. I don't know. Wine.
Yes. That's awesome. Okay, cool. And then a favorite holiday tradition you have with your family.
Yeah, I was racking my brain about this too. I think we're still trying to find our ways and traditions and kind of create our own. And
Yeah.
because we've moved around a lot, like it's been hard to have like a certain thing that we do every year in the
Mhm.
same place. So yeah, I can't think of like a tradition. We do Christmas cookies every year and like a gingerbread
Oh,
house, and that's something that my dad always did, and so we always do with him. But yeah, we're kind
right.
of struggling to find our own tradition.
Sure.
So hard because it's like you just have to create something, a memory that your kids will hopefully cling to and want.
Right, right. Well, and I imagine too, like, as far as this year for us, like, she's so little, obviously.
Right.
She's not going to remember anything for the first, like, couple years, even.
Yeah.
So it's like, do we start one now? Like, or we could just, like, chill out for a couple years if we wanted to. But
Totally. Yeah. And that's
yeah.
why it's like, and it's been so like, especially for Christmas, Dallas is like obsessive about presents right now.
Oh,
I know it's age, and I feel like guilty. I'm like, oh my gosh, not my kid. I don't want him to be like
oh,
all
yeah.
about presents, but I'm
Oh, that's
realizing
so funny.
every
It's
kid
just
is
a
all
kid.
about
Oh, yeah.
presents.
For sure.
I'm like, he's fine.
I know I'm gonna train Bobby to be one of those kids who's like, oh mom, like we should give away all my toys that I have now to like the kids in Africa or
Right.
whatever. You know, that's my goal.
Yeah. Good luck.
We'll see. Yeah, I know.
Every once in a while, if like a toy breaks, he'll be like,
Yeah.
"Mom, we can give this one away." I'm like, "Oh, you're so generous. Thank you, son."
That's so great.
Yeah.
Aw. All right, cool. And then the last one would be a piece of advice you'd give to a young mom.
Yeah, I would say get a therapist. I am the biggest advocate
Yes.
for therapists, and I feel
Come on.
like I was telling someone a couple years ago who's going through something. I said, like, if you got cancer today,
Yeah.
you would pay for whatever
Uh-huh.
treatments it cost. Like, it wouldn't matter to you because it's your life. Like you would
Right, right.
not. You like it wouldn't even be a thought in your mind that you
No.
wouldn't pay for treatments. Like you would
Right.
just run at that. You would get that handled. And I feel like sometimes we have a lot of things unpacked that we don't deal with, and it can come out in really ugly ways. And it's kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
cancer of the heart.
Yeah,
And
totally.
it's our dark passengers, and we ignore and we act like it's no big deal. And for me, it's like I used to live with that, and
Mm.
I like to be able to get a therapist to kind of walk that journey with me has
Mm.
been crucial in my emotional health. And
Mm.
yeah, I think like it's the one thing I tell people too, that that I feel like it's okay to go in debt over, because it's like, man, you'd rather
Yeah.
live in like emotional debt for the rest of your life,
Oh my gosh.
baggage, or would you rather pay off like
Right, right, totally.
here's like some therapy that you absolutely needed to get healthy again. And
Yes.
so I feel like, yeah, and because I was at a mom's group a couple weeks ago that I spoke at, and I asked, like, one of my questions to them was like, do you have someone in your life like you feel safe with, that you could say like,
Mm.
hey, I'm struggling
Mm-hmm.
because I have a crush on my best friend's husband, or like
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
attracted to other women, or
Right.
like I've never had an orgasm. Like these are real
Yeah.
questions that women have come to me with, only because I
Wow.
share my story pretty openly. But
Yeah.
like these are real questions, and these ladies have nobody, and sometimes the only place that they actually feel safe, and which I agree, because
Yeah.
finding good friendships that you can have those conversations with is really hard,
Yeah.
really rare. But a therapist, you can show up and kind of unpack all of
Yeah.
like dark things that you feel so embarrassed about, and they'll help you process that
Yeah.
and realize like they're not as dark and scary as you
Right.
realize. And
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, I feel like I'm such a big advocate
Oh
for therapy.
yes. Amen to that.
So yeah.
I like think like I kind of got it built in because my mom's best friend is like the church like counselor and mentor or whatever. So I've been seeing her since I was 16, man. I'll keep
So
going until she says no. She's
yeah.
yeah, it's so important. Like I cannot imagine my life without somebody like that. I
Totally.
totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
Ronnie and I
good.
went together and separate for 2 years, and that was like the
Yes.
best years of our life. And what
Oh,
we gained out of it, like, it's like, man, no, no, you can't put a price tag on what our marriage,
yeah.
like how it grew in those 2 years. Like, it
Mm,
just, I would pay whatever it took. And so I
yeah.
always tell people, like, pay that off. We pay, like, we get in debt over
Yes.
other silly things. Like, why not just pay it off, you'll
Yes.
way and be healthy.
That's so
So,
good. Yeah, I'm like, don't just stop at premarital counseling either, too.
yes,
Like, right? Like
100%.
the whole first year, do it, like, at least, you
Totally.
know?
I feel like premarital should be like coffee beforehand, like, yeah, you're getting
Yeah,
married.
I know.
And afterwards, you do everything else,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
premarital,
Okay, so,
like,
yeah.
you seem so happy, like, oh, we'll
Uh-huh.
fight. This is how we'll
Uh-huh.
fight. Like, you
Yep.
don't have a damn clue.
Yeah, that's right. It's so true. You get in it, you're like, well, what the hell?
Yeah,
You do what?
exactly.
You do what with your toothbrush? Like, yeah.
Exactly. Oh,
That's just small thing, but
yeah,
yeah.
totally.
So good.
Totally.
Oh, so good. Thank you so much for talking with me. And okay, so can people find you on social media?
Yep, it's
Okay, cool.
just Natalia with a Y, Roa.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I would have never even like guessed that that would be spelled any other way, but
But
I
I think
think
like Russians, my name is like it's a Russian name, I think. So people
ah,
spell it so differently. I have no
yes,
idea.
that's fair.
Yeah, so
Well, and I think you're the only Natalia that I know, so
that's true. I've only met one other Natalia at a beach bonfire. She was like next to it. It was really bizarre, but that's how I met her. So
that's
one
awesome.
other Natalia in my life.
What are the chances?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, thank you. We'll put your link to your Instagram so people can go see your face if they want to know what you look like. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Bree. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you enjoyed my chat with Natalya. She's awesome. Go check out her Instagram. We'll have all the links available in the show notes. Guys, I am so thrilled at like all of the new subscribers and listeners we have lately, all of our friends on Instagram. It's just so cool to see all these mamas rallying together and being able to connect through this podcast. I love it. I wanted to say, if you have somebody that you would like to hear from, a mom out there that you're inspired by, I would love to hear from you because I'd like to reach out and see if I can get a conversation with them. So you can email me at mommispace@gmail.com. I'll have a link in the show notes for you there too. So yeah, please feel free to reach out. I love to chat with you. Be sure you subscribe to this show to get all of these episodes downloaded wherever you listen, computer, mobile device, wherever. That way you don't have to worry about going and trying to update each podcast each week. All right? Be sure to check us out on Mommispace at Facebook and on Instagram for daily updates and for information on our past guests and who's to come. And lastly, I'll end with, please leave us a rating and review if you like this show. This is like such a practical way we can get the word out to more mamas. We want to grow this community as wide as we possibly can because I think it's so important that we moms unite in life and in podcasting. All right, so hope to hear from you there as well. If you need information on how to do so, go ahead and check the show notes. As always, you are loved, you are enough, and I hope you have a wonderful week.